Very warm welcome to all the investors and potential investors to Infollion's Concall for the second half. As you already know, we operate as a marketplace for experts where we have B2B clients on one side and experts on the other side of the marketplace. Our primary job as a company is to connect both sides, know as much as possible about those connections, collect a lot of data about which expert is proficient in what segment, and make sure they are available on demand to our clients. So while we have already gone into the details of our business on earlier calls, I'll quickly jump into the performance in this half and this year. Since this was a year end, I would probably focus more on the year end results. As you can see on your screens, we had a pretty good year. Our total revenue increased by almost 55%. EBITDA and PAT both increased, almost doubled from last year. So we are very happy and proud to let you know that your company has done very well this year. A quick recap of our last year besides the top line results. So this is, I think, sixth or seventh year running. We are in the same ballpark of growth, 40% plus minus 10%. That's where we are. A little bit higher this year. Almost all our ratios and every major parameter is within the same range, about 19 or 20% of EBITDAs and 15 odd percent of PAT. Most of the other ratios are very similar, which we have been maintaining for the last 6-7 years. The ROE and ROCE might have changed a bit because of the larger base since we IPO'd last year, and we hope that they will come back to normal in 10 to 12 quarters. So it has been almost 3 quarters since we raised money in the IPO. So most of the time in the last 3 quarters was spent in absorbing and adjusting to the changes to the new reality. So there were primarily two set of updates or year-end statements from my side. So the first thing was how we stabilized and how we moved forward in our core businesses and core operations. The second step was how did we do on the business expansion front and newer initiatives. I'll begin with the first part. So we did that in June. The first quarter was practically spent on recruitments, trainings, and that is it. So we expanded the company by almost 50% in terms of number of people. That was absolutely wonderful for us. But that also brought in a lot of challenges. We had a lot of new people who came in, and this really helped us, or rather, it would help in this year. So we have stabilized the team. The second thing was more of visual mapping tools, which were in the beta phase when we had launched it earlier. A lot of you, I can see some known faces, so I'm sure a lot of you would have seen it earlier. So they were in the beta phase. Finally, somewhere at the end of last calendar year, we were able to launch it for our clients, and we've got some very good response. That is fast turning itself into a USP of sorts. We have been making a lot of hundreds of value chains now and updating them regularly. Our clients seems to have adopted them and liked a lot. Third, and the most important regular business update was we redesigned and redeveloped the entire tech backend. So that was easily the most important update from us side last year. So we just launched it in the first week of April, and this is the first week of this financial year. So this is almost a hygiene factor. I mean, it had to be designed to global standards. So while we had been operating as a very strong backend earlier, but to enter international markets, this is almost considered a eligibility criteria. So you have to have a cutting edge experience for experts, for our own admins to increase their productivity, and of course our clients. So we managed to revamp the entire three sets. This has been one of the highlights of our last year, that our tech has advanced considerably. Next, this was of course the regular course of business. On the basic business expansion front, our clients also had a very good year, which kind of resulted in a slightly better than average year for us. So we have also started being more active in the financial services segment. We got a lot of inbound leads as well. Hopefully, it should start materializing this year. So, since we are in a B2B category, it takes a bit of time for us to get and sign up new clients and make a material impact on our bottom line. Now, the other two things were for which we actually raised the money, besides the tech bit, was expansion on the US front and expansion of a parallel business line. So on the US front, it is almost an independent team now. We have almost 25-30 people, almost 3 teams working US hours. The business generation is still from India, but our expert base in US has been expanding considerably. Hopefully, it should pay us back in a few years. Maybe not this year, maybe next year, or maybe this year. But that's where we start. We've started to expect some results from our efforts on the US front. The expert base is still quite small as compared to India, but we are actively focusing on expanding that expert base in US, specifically in 2 or 3 chosen segments. So Abhay, who has been our ops head as of now in the will likely to take up larger role in the US operations, and slowly will transition Indian ops to a more autopilot mode. Next would be the next biggest initiative which we had was longer term engagements, for which we use an umbrella term PEX panel. So we did 3-4 kinds of experiments. So how can we offer our existing supply in other ways? So 2-3 month stints in existing set of clients was one of our starting points. Offering private panels to senior guys, senior executives, cohort-based courses or individual courses and L&D programs. So as of now, they were more of experiments. We wanted to zero in on the final number before we go into the details. But nothing material as of now, but we are quite bullish on the last one. And we are likely to spend more time, efforts on this in this FI. That is the last one. So the likelihood of reselling those expert-led courses is much higher. While it takes time to produce those courses and to make them come online and usable, but once you have them on board, it works like the same CEPE concept which I have explained multiple times earlier. So we are making a repertoire of courses, have created a 3-4 member team under our research head, VK Varun, and we are likely to spend much more time, and you would probably hear on this front a lot more this year. So these are the broad updates I have for the financial year 24. Hopefully they'll live up to your expectations, and hope to have a nicer year next one. Next, even better financial year 25. And over to you, Purvangi, for the next steps. Purvangi, I think you'll have to unmute yourself.
Thank you, everyone. We'll now begin the Q&A session. If you have any questions, please raise your hand icon. Alternatively, if you can also type your questions in the chat box, I will ask the question on your behalf to the management. Yes, Mr. Deepak, please go ahead. Mr. Deepak Podar, kindly unmute yourself and ask the question, please.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you, sir. Please go ahead with your question.
Am I audible now?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Oh, so yeah. So earlier I was not able to unmute myself actually. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Hi, Gaurav ji. Thank you so much for taking time out for this call. I hope you are doing fine. Uh, so I just wanted to understand first up. I think what's the number of call we did in FY24? Hello. Hello, Gaurav ji. You're not audible.
Yes. So I think it should be roughly in the 12,000 range. We would give you a detailed update there.
Around 12,000 would be the number of calls we did, right?
Yeah, that should be the broad range. Yeah.
Okay, fair. And we were adding around 1,000 to 1,500 experts per month, right? And so what would be the total number of expert number as of FY24?
Roughly 80,000. We should have reached there. The
Yeah,
exact numbers are disclosed in the number, but that should be the broad range. So we've increased from
broadly.
1,000 per
Okay.
month to about closer to 1,500 per month over the year.
Okay. Currently it is at 80,000.
Yeah, that should be the range.
Roughly. And I mean, we have been talking about 40% CGI growth, right? I mean, this year it was a little higher because the economy also did well, and your clients also did well. But over next 2-3 years, this 40% is what we are holding on to. I mean, in terms of broader range we are looking at in terms of growth.
I think on this front, how the economy is likely to behave, your guess is as good as mine. But we are definitely a derivative of the overall economy and earnings.
Okay, understood. And in this half, in spite of higher revenue, our margins were lower. So what led to that, and how do we see that going forward?
I am not so sure of that number. Which number are you referring to?
So also second half, our revenue was about 26.6 crores, excluding the other income, and our EBITDA margin was close to 18% at 4.8 crores. Whereas in the first half, I think our EBITDA margin was 21% on a lower revenue base.
Okay. I think that has more to do with the uh, unbilled calls towards the end of the quarter. It should be broadly similar gross margin is what I would understand.
And so EBITDA margin was I was looking at EBITDA and the EBITDA level.
So the last May, the absolute number
Ah,
of unbilled calls would be similar, right? So वो 6 months पे divide
uh-huh.
हो रहा है, ये 12 पे divide हो रहा है. So it should be in the same range.
Okay. But broadly, generally, we look at 19-20% as the EBITDA margin on an annual basis.
That's वही range है. So to be honest, we can't predict to the last percentage, but that's a broad range. जो let's say last 15 days या 10 days का unapproved unbilled calls होगा, right? So first उसमें it will come out to be higher, right? Because the base is lower.
Correct. Correct.
So that should be the only thing. तो आप इसका आधा 1% कम कर लो, उसमें आधा 1% बढ़ा लो, तो बराबर हो जाएगा, within range हो जाएगा.
Fair enough. I got it. And just couple of last things. Do we have any inorganic plans also in pipeline or anything that we are thinking in that line?
Well, never say never. Have you identified something? No.
Okay. Understood. I think I think the and just one last thing in terms of US expansion, you spoke about that our experts are expanding. But has the revenue also started from the US expansion? From US, I mean, you said that we are getting business currently from India, right? But US
So it
business
depends.
from
How do you see revenue? If you're talking about have we started paying to US experts? Yes, we have been doing US calls, right? But are those US calls generated from US clients? No, they are generated more from Indian clients looking to speak to US experts. So that is our kind of uh, a little lengthier but slightly less costlier way of building up the network base in US. Because since we already have someone who's looking to take a call in US, it becomes a little easier for us to find that expert and actually earn some money on what we have expanded.
Correct. And you did mention that it will take around 1 to 2 years to get a meaningful revenue from the US division,
Yes,
right?
from US clients, it will take some
time.
time. We have to build up a large base. I mean, the Indian base in itself is, multiple order of magnitude higher than US. So we can't expect the same results to happen in US. It takes a lot of time to build up the base, but once the base is there, then meaningful revenue starts flowing in. So we are trying to expand
Thank you so
further on
much.
the US front.
I got it. Right. I think that's it from my side. Thank you so much, Gauravji, and all the very best to you. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
The next question is from Mr. Mahesh. Please go ahead. Mr. Mahesh Attal, please go ahead.
You'll have to unmute them, I guess.
Ms. Madhumita, can you please unmute his line so that he can take the question?
Hello, am I audible? Hello.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, please.
So congratulations on great set of numbers. I think I had some problem regarding that thing. So now so basically my queries are: we are holding cash worth of 31 crores as on 31st March. So what's your idea on holding that cash in your books? First question. That would be my first question. And how do you see, I mean, that cash helping you in expanding your business? I understand that you are expanding it to export markets, US and all. So how much of that money do you need for expansion? First thing. Second thing is, look, for a company which is like you are a technical, I mean, technologically high and advanced company. Once you have built your platform, I mean, what I understand is once the platform is built, I think for our kind of business, I don't think 100% growth would also be a big thing because on a lower base. So do you think that also is possible? Because I can go, I mean, we have guided for 40% growth, which is a good conservative guidance. But can we expect more from this kind of business? Because see, once your exports, because what I understand is that once the experts are onboarded and you are also moving it to other geographies, so there will be a cross-functional thing, right? Operating at a higher, I mean, there will be a huge leverage that you'll get, right? Once this come in. So how can we, as someone who's analyzing, can look into it? If you can just throw lights on this particular thing. These are my two questions. Hello, hello, hello.
Gaurav, sir.
So thanks a lot for the question, Mahesh. So yes, we do expect some cross border. So Indian clients, US experts, and US clients, Indian experts. Besides US clients, US experts, and Indian client, Indian experts is something which is definitely on the cards. The problem is not just the platform. The problem is curation of experts on the platform. So since we are a very high-end marketplace, we try to make sure that only very good experts join our platform. That takes time. You have to identify the best people and then reach out and then onboard them. So while fundamentally what you have said is completely valid, but as they say, all good things take time. So we are completely focused on expanding our network base. As of now, we are highly focused on that curation, and so that we are able to better predict the capability of that expert.
How many experts have you added on the US side last financial year?
I'm sorry?
How many experts were added on the US side in last financial year?
So the total experts we added about, I think 18-20,000 should be the broad range. The precise numbers would be
I'm
updated.
talking about the US experts.
US specifically, I don't have the number ready, but the percentage is higher than last year.
एंड ऑल्सो गौरव जी मुझे ये जानना है कि अभी देखिए बहुत सारा क्या होता है कि मशीनरी फॉर एग्जांपल आई कम टू द मैन्युफैक्चरिंग साइड व्हिच इज अ बूमिंग सेक्टर ओके so when we see there when I listen to their con calls they are of a like there is a huge capex coming from manufacturing industry which is going to come in next couple of years due to this PLI and everything government support and everything so private capex आएगा तो ये जो प्राइवेट केपेक्स होता है मच ऑफ इट कम्स फ्रॉम चाइनीज एंड ऑल दिस जर्मनी एंड ऑल दिस प्लेयर्स सो दे ऑब्वियसली रिक्वायर दिस एएमसी एंड ऑल दिस थिंग्स विल बी देयर तो उस पर्टिकुलर डोमेन में हम लोग कैसे उसमें एंट्री कर सकते हैं मैन्युफैक्चरिंग को कैसे हम ये कर सकते हैं आप इस पे आपका कुछ व्यू पॉइंट है क्या कि हाउ एग्जैक्टली वी कैन कैटर टू देम
I'm not sure I understood the question entirely, but let me try and address it.
Let me just give you one viewpoint. Let's say there is some problem in the machinery. There's a huge machine that they have got, and there's some problem in the machine, and the expert is in China, say in China, and he wants the services, the local guy. How can we help there? Can we connect them
So
to our
once in a while,
platform?
yes, it does happen. So as of now, we are focused more on the low-hanging fruit where the requirements are more regular and cross-domain. That's relatively easier to capture. We anyways have a lot of business to capture as of now. So we are more focused on what is already on the plate. Uh, do we think that uh, technical experts from outside working for Indian clients is an option? Yes, of course. I mean, that's a very important segment for us, and we would hopefully expand into it.
Your view on the cash? My first query goes on cash. You're holding a lot of cash on
Cash, yes.
your books.
Out of that 30 crores of sorts, I think somewhere around 10 to 12 crores is the IPO cash, or maybe a little less, somewhere around 10. Abhishek would be able to give you the precise number. But the rest of it, we intend to use it for expansion outside the country, and in case an inorganic opportunity arises, we would like to use that.
Also, Gauravji, one more thing I just wanted to know is what are your strengths like east, west, north, south? Divided in, I mean, like I'm talking about India. So, where are your major experts and clients coming from? Which region you are more I mean, if I divide it in the region wise,
No, so in India, we have been around for almost 12 years now. I mean, leave alone a region, you name a city and we would have an expert. So in India, we are extremely well covered. We have been doing this for almost 10 years. We have been meticulously curating each and every domain expert from each and every geography. So we go very deep in India. To be honest, in our kind of business, the region doesn't matter. It is a very except for maybe procurement in some specific domains like agri food, or maybe cement, etc., where the businesses are very localized. Most of our clients as well as businesses as well as our experts are country level in nature.
I want to know it on industry basis, which industry we, I mean,
Industry
are
basis, the
servicing.
top four would be as it was reflected in the Indian economy. The IT services is top, healthcare, life sciences is also amongst the top. CPG, retail is of course there, and fourth is BFSI. These four together represent about 60% of our business.
And you see a 40% growth coming from these ends and the new things also. I mean, so your 40%
So it
growth
would be
will
a
be coming from.
combination of that. Hopefully we should be able to. It would be more of a combination, but primarily we would be linked to the Indian. The Indian growth from existing clients would be linked to how the economy behaves.
Yeah, but I'm just asking, what's the dark horse in your thing that you are seeing the green shoots, like something which was underperforming and now it's like kind of booming up, something like that. If you can throw some light on that, some industry which was
I
not doing good and now it has
I
just jumped
I
up.
don't think I would be able to answer on that front, right? So we were not very sure which industries are
Okay,
likely to perform, but on the whole, we have a very decent coverage, and we should be a derivative of the Indian economy in general.
all the best, Gauravji. Great work
Thank you so much,
and all the
Manish.
best.
Thank you. Mr. Shubham Jawar, please go ahead. Mr. Shubham?
Yeah, hi. Yeah, hi. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Shubham, go ahead.
Hi. Yeah, hi, Gaurav. Congrats on the great set of numbers, right? And thanks for taking a question. We just wanted to understand this cash addition in the cash flow for, this 3.3 CR of accounting change. If you could elaborate on that, that would be really helpful.
I think Abhishek would be able to answer it better.
Yeah,
Or if you can park it for a while, we can do it. We can take up the financial questions together.
sure, that works.
Yeah, yeah. Essentially, it would be up somewhere about unbilled calls, which a change for a the change was made for unbilled and unapproved calls
just go.
at the end of the year. That should be the broad thing. But I'll leave it up to Abhishek for the precise answer. We can move on to the next question in the meanwhile on the commercial side of things.
Hello.
Yes, Mr. Ganguly.
Yeah. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm a little new to the company, so a couple of very basic questions. You all mentioned that you all been very rapidly adding experts, and apart from putting people together, what is important is the curation of experts. And you all mentioned about 12,000 odd calls. So two questions here. One, what kind of a team profile you require or people you require who will be able to curate, appropriate experts, bring them on board, convert them, because the experts are obviously, people of who know their industry, who might, who would also be then, willing to share their knowledge for, uh, uh, or for an economic returns, which is maybe a very small percentage of their overall, in their overall scheme of things. So how does that process work? How do you all have how have you all built up that capability to bring them on board, curate them? Secondly, of the 80,000, if you're doing about 12,000 calls, which would mean that a small minority might actually be doing most of the calls, or a lot of the experts are just idle there. So how do you optimize this, and your database? So that's my first question. The first set of questions. The second is, in India, it is pretty nascent. In the sense, nascent in the sense, okay, we have started using these services over the last 3, 4, 5 years time frame. And there are, 4, 5 companies that we know of. But if in the US, it is a much more mature and a larger business, and you're trying to build it out there, address US clients on both the sides. What is, as they, use the cliche term, what is your right to win in the US market? That's all from my side.
Okay. So thank you so much, Vivek. Well, third question we have answered earlier, but I'll still repeat that a bit. First, your first question was how to onboard, right? So that is exactly what.
How to onboard, and you're talking
Curate.
of experts. So how does your team curate? Because do you have an equally experienced set of people here?
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So, to be honest, that is exactly what our company does. We recruit people who are from market research background or train them to be into market research, who can understand the domain. And that is exactly what our job is, to recruit, train, and make sure people acquire the capability in specific domains to get the best people on board. We monitor all the annual reports for any exits. We monitor all the senior guys who are moving from their roles and try to get them on board as soon as they get independent. And that is one of the key sources of our experts. Plus, in India, we have been operating for such a long time that we have a very long pipeline of inbound requests. So in India, most of our experts, if not most, a lot of our experts, a lot of the best experts are actually referred to us by our existing experts. So in India, we have achieved that. If a CXO or a president of a large company is referring a friend, in all likelihood, it will work. So second question was, how do we manage the percentage of experts? Yes, we can't provide uh, all the experts requests all through the year, but we are fairly happy with the percentage which we can reuse. As long as it is in double digits, we are very happy with it. But it's actually a little lesser than that.
Yeah.
So we need to maintain that base, right? So but that's a broad range. In fact, that's one of the best ranges in the industry. Most of our competitors actually work in the 2-3% range. Your third question was, how do we expand into a mature market like US?
Yeah.
I believe this question has been answered at the during the previous ones as well as the previous one as well. So what we are doing is, we are using our India client base to start empaneling experts in US at a lower cost. We are kind of focusing only on 2-3 year sectors. What we believe is, once we get to about 5 to 7,000 experts in a particular domain geo combo, we reach the 80-20 CEPE ratio where we start making money. So as of now, the number of experts in US is much lower, but we are trying to concentrate our efforts while managing our inflow in a certain segment.
Right.
So that kind of helps us in focusing on 2 or 3 sectors, and then go deep in those sectors and then expand our tentacles from there. You are bang on from that perspective, that it is not going to be easy into expanding into all sectors. But if we choose 1 or 2 sectors, or maybe 3 sectors in a focused way, we should be able to penetrate.
Thank you. That's all from my side.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Vinod Kashyap, please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Hi, Gaurav. So I had a couple of questions. So the first question was like, what is the current market size in India? Like, you have been growing at more than 50%. So like what is your market share? Like if you have been able to do some study, and are we growing like in the same rate as the market, Indian market? That would be my first question. My second question is like around the IPO time, you had mentioned that your like top 10 customers take about like give about 80-85% of your revenues. So has that expanded? Have you been like now? Do you have more customers contributing to your revenue? That's all. Thank you.
Okay, so I heard two questions. One is about market size, second is about concentration. I'll address the second one first. Concentration, while within those 10, things have started stabilizing, but at a top 10 level, there is no significant change. It might be on a lower trend, but it's broadly the same concentration even now. It'll only happen when we expand into the financial side of things, which is likely to happen over a period of time. I mean, 9 months is too little time to really change anything materially. Second, market size in India, for calls being generated from India, I think it should be a few hundred crores. Cross border could be larger. It's very difficult to actually estimate the market size because of the nature of this business, that a large part for almost all the global competitors is cross border. So we just don't know how revenue can be attributed to India. If we only focus on the business generated by Indian clients, it should not be more than a few hundred crores, both for Indian experts and foreign experts. Maybe roughly in the 30 to 70 ratio, where most of the business would be for Indian experts, about 30% or maybe a little more would be for international ones.
So
how
would
much
it
is
be
the
fair
business
to...
coming in from outside countries, which is being serviced by our competitors without actually stepping foot in India? We just can't estimate.
Okay. Okay, so like I know that looks like it's hard to like identify the market share, but like since you have made like 50 odd crores, so would it be fair to assume like you have around 20% of the market or maybe more?
I would not be so sure, because almost it's a very tricky thing for almost all our global competitors. Indian competitors are not very big, and the global competitors, the revenue recognition is extremely complicated. We just don't have access to those kind of numbers.
Okay, so the
We just
large...
focus on our market, that this is what we can do. I'm not so sure of the market shares, but for clients where we are, in some clients we have larger market share than that. We can only focus on business generated from India for Indian experts. Then I think we could be even more than that.
Okay. Okay, so I guess your approach would be to enroll more clients as your experts network
To
grows.
enroll more experts, yes. So that's the fundamental problem. It's always to get more experts, but a bigger problem within India is how to mine and leverage your existing expert network, because you make more money on the existing network than by enrolling newer ones.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hello, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, Tushar, please go ahead.
Yes, sir. So I'm a bit new to your company, and I know you already said that you've described your business model before, but can you describe it again a bit in brief?
Okay. So we are basically a marketplace for experts. We have experts on one side, 3 set of clients on the other side, and our job is to connect both of them.
Okay, fair enough. And secondly, I want to know about the competitive scenario of your industry, as in like who are your competitors and like what do you do different from them, both in US and India?
Okay. So I'm not sure if it's the right time to elaborate on that, but I'll try to be quick. We've covered this extensively, and there is a video on this on our website, investors.infollion. While I would recommend you to go and have a look there, but I'll try to address it. Essentially, we are more focused on mining our own database. We are far more focused on the research side of things and focus more on precision. we try to reuse our experts as much as possible. We have a lot of value chain maps which we have shown in the DRHP as well as our videos as well as our previous engagements. So these are broadly 3 or 4 points where we kind of score above our competitors. We focus a lot on analytics on who knows what within our expert base to mine as much as possible. As a consequence, we have far more per person number of calls than our most of our competition in India.
Okay, sir. And also, who are your competitors in US and India?
So they've been listed in the DRHP. पूरा list दे रखा है.
Oh, okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Lakshmi Narayan, please go ahead.
Oh.
Mr. Lakshmi Narayan, sir, please go ahead.
I think we can move on to the next. I think he's not prepared.
Yes, Mr. Prateek, please go ahead.
Gaurav, am I audible?
Yes, Prateek, please go ahead.
Gaurav, always a pleasure listening to you. Congratulations on good set of numbers. Just one quick question, Gaurav. So I'm sure when we would be beachcombing the US market, when we were planning to be there and we were trying to understand the landscape there. I just want to understand, is there any virgin space which is being, left by the larger players, where we are seeing, our right to exist and create something there? Just this one, this question.
Well, everybody knows US is a far more mature market, right? So there are very few virgin spaces left in US. But if you are able to mine your own experts much more smartly than your competition, if you are able to concentrate in 2 or 3 particular segments, we believe we should be able to get a toehold. So to be honest, it is more on a query to query or a project to project level, that how smartly you can map that expert to that project at of course the most efficient cost. One of the other ways of getting a toehold is whenever the expert is not available with anyone, how soon can you get that expert? Or in some cases, a lot of our competitors do not have the capability to or rather their cost efficiency is much lower to get a new expert as opposed to ours because of our India base. So these are some 3 or 4 points on which we'll focus when we move to the US markets.
Understood. So you mean that there's no virgin space as such, but still there are opportunities.
Yes. On a project level, yes. How soon can you
Yes,
map
yes,
them?
on a project.
Every 20-30% of the projects are always new.
Understood. Very helpful. Thank you, Gaurav.
Yes, we can move on to the next, please.
Mr. Arnav, please go ahead.
Thank you, Gaurav. Wonderful set of numbers here. Appreciate your team putting in the hard work. Just wanted to understand 2 things. The first thing I wanted to understand is how does our business scale? Like the more and more opportunities and the more and more clients we acquire, how does the EBITDA scale according to that? Is it a linear function of revenue? But I do see improvements, so I'm assuming that it yields more profit as and when we do more revenue. The second question is, I just wanted to understand, like, where does the stickiness in our business comes from? Basically, I want an use case, like, let's say I'm an IT company, and I come to you, like, is it just the training phase that not really the training phase or the business problem solving that you are engaged in, or will you be willing to work with me until and unless I complete the project? And in case I need guidances throughout the project cycle, will you be there for me? Like that, these are the 2 questions I wanted to know.
Okay. First question was about the EBITDA thing. So we intend to keep that EBITDA in a similar range. If at all we have some money, we would probably invest that in increasing the size of a panel, at least in the initial years when we are in the growth phase. Second question was your stickiness. Stickiness, to be honest, there is no exclusivity, but stickiness increases the more clients you have, the more experts you are able to connect them to, which leads to more experts, which leads to more clients. So it is a network effects kind of a business, and we have seen in most of the geographies in the world, one large network takes over, and then there is a very long tail. Your third question was, I'm not so sure. Sorry, can you please repeat the third one? I kind of missed that.
No, my question was, is it just the start of the project? Let's say I want some business making
Okay,
decision.
sure. So you use cases, right? Use cases.
Yeah.
So as of now, most of the use cases we focus upon are more frequent and cross domain. For longer term projects, we try not to engage because it is difficult to have higher margins there, right? So gross margins are typically higher where the projects are across domains and different kind of projects with higher frequency. So these kind of clients makes more sense for us. For longer term projects, once the initial thing is done, the probability of disintermediation increases. So if we cross 100 hours, 200 hours of engagements, we try to move out of the equation and let them manage, take a relieving fee and let them manage on their own. It's very difficult to so then we start moving into the old world staffing business where you have the person on roll and then deploy, and we don't want to get there as of now. So there is a lot more business at higher frequency and cross domain, which makes more sense for an intermediary like us.
Yeah, I got it. My question was not really around staying like as a like working as a contractor. It was rather right that you have given a session. Now, how do you ensure that your if your client needs future help, how do they benefit from the session that they just had? That's what my
So as I
question
said,
was.
up till 50 to 100 hours, we try to be on the front. If they want to engage the expert again, we can facilitate that. But if it goes beyond that, if it is just a hourly engagements after the session, that's very easy, right? So you just it goes through the same process. But if they say that we want to engage this experts for 1 year, then it stops making sense for us. If they say we want to engage this experts for 1 hour per week for the next 2 quarters, then we are there. So that's where we draw the line.
Got it. Thank you, Gaurav.
Thank you.
Mr. Lakshmi Narayan, have you joined in from your laptop, sir? And if possible, can you take the next question?
Yeah, you can hear me, right?
Yes.
Yeah. A few questions. Let me switch off my. Yeah, I think a couple of questions. I just want to understand how your realization per call has actually moved in the last 3 years.
Okay, one.
And the second, I just want to understand your repeat business. What percentage of your business is repeat? Third, what percentage of your revenues come from advance payment, and how much is done by paying per call? The fourth question is, what's the mix between non-financial market investors such as private equity and equity markets and the others? Because I think you also have something called consultants, so seems to be a little vague. I just want to understand the mix between capital market and private equity market exposure versus non. And the last question is, where do you think you will hit a scale issue? At what point in time, maybe what, 100,000 calls or 100,000 calls, or exactly you think the business will need to, where there's a kind of a J curve in terms of management bandwidth, scaling up the company, etc. would kick in. So I think these are my 5 questions.
So a lot of questions. I'll address as quickly as possible. First one was ticket size. In India, we are broadly at the same ticket size. We try not to increase the prices and we try to maintain the same gross margins. But inflationary increases do happen. We rather focus on increasing the number of per person call by empowering our team with better technological solutions. So that's more of our focus than increasing the ticket size. But inflationary increases happen. Two, repeat business. About 80% plus of our calls are done by experts who are already paneled with us in India, and almost 90% of our business is by our clients, which are probably 2-3 years and more with us. In fact, a very significant percentage would be more than 5 year plus. Third question was percentage of. I'm not sure. I missed this one. I'll come back
Question
to
was,
it.
outside financial markets, which are either private equity or equity
So
markets.
I get it. So no, most of our business actually comes from the consulting industry than the financial industry. We are more represented in the consulting industry, which is the big three, the MBBs, the big threes, and tier 2 consulting firms, and maybe in-house strategy teams. Almost 70-80% would be from those set of clients than the financial markets. Globally, it is not the case. It is more like 50-50. And with some of our clients, it could be actually the opposite. But we see some kind of market share expansion by addressing the financial markets. As I said in my initial opening intro as well, that we are trying to be more active on that front. That is private equity and mid cap or long-term fundamental investors in the public markets.
Sorry,
Your
how
fifth
much comes
question
from
was
the how much comes from the consulting space?
almost 70-80%.
Got it.
So this number was the precise number is disclosed in the DRHP, if I'm not wrong, or it's not. I'm not sure about it.
Space where sorry, I mean, at some time back, there was a company called Evalueserve, which was actually making certain data for some of the top consulting firms. Is that something also you get into, or is that like a logical extension?
So Evalueserve is more like a KPO, works more on written consultations.
Is that
not consultations, actually more on written reports. So Evalueserve did try to enter this market. They had acquired a company called Nitron Advisors back then. I don't think they went too deep into it. They didn't try to make it on their own. They just acquired one US company and tried to make it work. But I think they sold it off and focused more on the KPO bit. That's my understanding, although I'm not too sure what consultations you are referring to from Evalueserve or data. But they do a lot of written reports is what I understand. Your last question was on the J curve bit.
No, I mean, the other question is that, I mean, how many of your clients are on an advance payment basis where they...
Okay, subscriptions, got it.
Yeah,
so mostly all on postpaid. The financial world is more prepaid where the teams are smaller. Again, this is the answer which we have covered adequately in our, one of the videos is already there on our website. We have covered this adequately, how we approach the consulting world versus the financial world and what are those subscriptions. I would request you to please go through that video. We've already discussed this in great detail. Your last question was the J curve
on
bit.
Scale, right? Yeah, when do you actually really get a scale, and how do you end up? How are you thinking?
So in India, we believe that we are likely to grow along with our clients. Maybe a bit of market share expansion in the financial world. That was step one. Most of the scale is likely to come from international markets and cross-border engagements. And the third bit is we were also trying to expand into peripheral marketplaces, which I expanded in the in my initial intro.
Now, my question is that what would constrain the scalability, right? Because anyway, experts are always there. Internally, what would be the challenges for you to scale?
So as of now, we are at a very premium price point. So at this price point, you cannot have thousands of crores ka market or even 100. So at this price point, it's very difficult to absorb these kind of experts. Over a period of time, we are likely to move towards low value, high volume experts and the peripheral marketplaces, which I just mentioned, that we can try and expand into slightly lower price but higher volume markets. The constraint which if you're asking that, it's essentially the kind of exports we have as of now. It's price.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you, Gaurav.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Mr. Gaurav, I would like you to give your closing statement, please.
Okay. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining joining this call. I hope we have covered most of the questions. We try to record and keep our questions and answers ready on our website. You can see a lot of snippets of pretty much all the questions. A lot of questions which we have answered, except for the updates one, we have covered very well. We would request you to visit that in case you still feel that we have not been able to adequately address. But given the paucity of time, we tried our best to answer those questions without taking too much time for others who joined us only for the updates bit. So overall, we had a good year. It was pretty much expected. This is almost a very typical year for us. Maybe the growth was on a bit of higher side, but this is exactly what we had expected at the start of the year, and we have achieved that. Hopefully this continues, the economy grows, and we are, as we said, a derivative of the economy. Especially the consulting bit, it is a very clear derivative of the economy, and we hope that we would be able to continue that. Second, we're trying to focus on two kinds of expansions, which is the US market and peripheral marketplaces. On both sides, we see green shoots. In US, we have already started doing a lot of projects which are outbound for US experts, although it has not started showing in our export revenue yet, because most of the projects are still from India. But we have seen a significant uptick there. Almost all the directionally, we are very happy where our US thing is going, although we would like to turbocharge it a bit in the coming few years. And on the peripheral marketplaces, we do not have any clear business plan or a go-to-market plan on how will we achieve that. But what we know is that we have a very large expert base which can be used and that can be expanded into low value, high volume markets. Plus, we can obviously come up with more products to utilize the supply base better. Again, thank you so much for joining the call. This is the summary of our results, and now it's time to get back to work. Hopefully, we will aim for an even better financial year 25.
Thank you, Gaurav sir. Thank you, everyone. You may now disconnect the line.
Thank you so much for joining the call, everyone.